got to get over to the, okay, here we go. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for your patience. We are here on a Thursday. It is Chiropractic is Sexy. And I am Dr. Paula Ruffin with the
And I am Dr. Erica Peabody. We are just coming off of our adjusting floors. What did we call this? It was like from our tables
to the mic.
To the mic.
Yeah. From our tables to the mic.
Like from the windows to the wall.
Oh.
From our tables to the mic.
Yes.
We're happy to be here. We are always, coming right off of our adjusting floors. So, there's just some things that happen and we're trying to always be exactly on time. And then, you just got to figure stuff out. Now I became a spirit again. I don't know why it does that to me. I'm not this white.
You're like a one-dimensional version of yourself.
I know. I don't.
Well, you're in front of that window. Doesn't it have a?
It's closed though. My window is closed.
Oh.
And I have a curtain over it. And then I have a sign covering the little, there we go, the little splinter. It's better, but it's not great. I wonder if my light is too bright. Okay, we'll continue to.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There you go. That's better.
Okay.
You're no longer one-dimensional.
Good gravy. Hi, Kenny. Hi, Bill.
Hey, Bill. Hi, Kenny. How's it going, guys? Whew. It is listen, we're here and we're not perfect and we're doing it anyway. So
yeah, we're here.
Yes. I'm going to call myself out real quick. Uncle Al has every right to give me a rash of SHIT because what did I do? Again, I forgot my camera. So meanwhile, it looks like a digital, storm behind me because I was trying then to set up my Canon camera as a webcam. And I have a million different cords and I don't have the HDMI cord for it.
You always never have the right cord. That is really a thing. Yeah.
It's like I have every cord known to man except the one that goes in that darn camera. So anyway, we're here. And we are here to talk about principle number 4. Do we have stories we want to share first? Do you want to?
You know what? I just kind of wanted to launch back. So we won't do this every time, especially as we get up to the 10s and 20s. But the first principle was the major premise, and I can't make this spirit thing go away. No.
You're the most beautiful spirit I know.
Good gravy. There we go. And then I re-enter. It's got to be this camera. Principle number 1 was the major premise. And then, which is basically that organizing intelligence all over that gives everything that it's doing. The chiropractic meaning of life, which is the intelligence through matter. And then the union of intelligence and matter was last time. Yeah, thumbs up and please share. So principle number 4 is the triune of life. And this is really like, it's truly the profession itself, chiropractic itself, and our bodies are 3 things. Life is the triunity, having 3 necessary united factors: intelligence, force, and matter. And I was thinking about this because you had that exchange with that person this morning that it's been really busy and crazy around here and just in my life in general, but that like, okay, this woman walks up to you and she says, I really need some help. And then it's like, okay, well then like, let's do the thing. And so it's like her body walked up to you. The intelligence came through. She's ready to make some force to come in for some forces that'll help realign her body. So go ahead with the story.
So what was really interesting, so I love that there's like the innate intelligence that is telling her that she needed help.
Yeah.
And here's what I find interesting, and this is human nature. So I'm not picking on her, but this is a really common story. And you might even see a little bit of it in yourself. And so the reason that we bring you these stories is to, wake you up in a sense because a lot of times we can just get very complacent with our aches, our pains, our health, and we compartmentalize things. And we're like, okay, well, I've been living with this for so long that I'm really fine, but we're not fine. And we'll have a whole episode on fine. So she walked up to me and she was telling me about this problem she'd had going on since she was in a bad car accident back in '06. She's been having this lower back pain for a long time. She's a caretaker for elderly people, and she's a hairdresser. So constantly bending over, lifting. And so this has been going on for many, many years. And she said, 10 years ago, she was having an issue, and it's starting, it's rearing its ugly head again. And she said, I think I really need some help again. And she said, I'm going to go to my medical doctor first. They're going to do an MRI just to see what's going on. And I'm like, listen, if that's what brings people peace of mind, I'm all good for that. Go get whatever tests you want to get to bring you peace of mind, so that then when you come to me, I will have, and it's just more information to me or Dr. York. So then she says, well, I'll get the MRI results. And she says, it's just my lower back. And I looked at her and I said, you have a problem in your neck too. And she was like, what? And I said, yeah, you have a hump at the base of your neck. And I said, you've had a severe whiplash injury, probably from that accident, but your head juts forward and she has the old lady, I didn't say old lady hump to her, but so the hump, you need to pay attention to that hump because it's telltale. And she's like, I know, but it doesn't hurt. And I said, I understand that, but you have a problem in your neck, whether you have pain. And she goes, well, my back's been fine. I had the nerves burned. I'm going to
stop right there. Repeat that. Turn your hearing aids up.
She says, I had the nerves burned 10 years ago, and that did the trick. And I go, what trick? I said, you burned the nerves so you couldn't feel the problem, which now is probably greatly exacerbated because you did nothing to correct it. Mm-hmm. And she just was like, you could tell that there was sort of this glaze, and I said, so I said, fine. I go, let's go ahead. I go, let's get you on the schedule. And she said, and at one point she says, well, I said, well, why now? Because it'd been 10 years. I said, why now? What makes you want to get this handled now? And she starts crying. And she says, I'm struggling really badly. I'm in so much pain every day. It's hard to do my job. She's only like late 40s, early 50s. She's hard to do her job. She's a single woman. She's like taking care of herself. And I said, okay. I go, well, let's get you on the schedule. Now, are you ready for this one? Turn the hearing aid up again. She says, okay, great. Do you have anything in March? And I said, I'm sorry, what? I said, March? She says, yeah, like mid-March. And I said, you were just crying because you're in so much pain. I said, I can get you in next week. Well, no, I can't. I've got things I have to do around the house. And then she went into all of that. And I go, so that's more important. You're not going to prioritize yourself over these things. And I don't remember what she said, but it's not like my furnace is broken and I don't have heat. It was nothing like that, right? And I said, okay. And I scheduled her for mid-March. But you guys, why as humans do we do that? Why do we compartmentalize things? You're in tears, you're in pain, you want to get it taken care of. She's going to put it off 6 weeks. And I have to be honest with you, I don't think she's going to keep the appointment. Yeah. That's because if you're in that much pain, that should drive you to take care of it right freaking now. Right.
So one of the questions that we're getting is, can you explain what it means to burn nerves? What does that mean? That was one of the questions that was like, what does it mean? How does that happen?
That's a great question. So if you've had this procedure done, then you're familiar with that, but they literally go in and they cauterize. So they take a tool and they burn the nerves. They burn the nerve endings. So you have zero feeling going to that area anymore. So they're blocking the pathways that are sensing pain. Right. They burn it. That's literally what it means, is they burn it, they deaden it, they kill it. So I don't know about you, but I don't really want to have any of my nerves killed and deadened.
Well, and so one of the biggest things that I talk all day long with my patients, and I just said it, probably 3 or 4 times this morning, is that pain means pay attention. And so if you were to, let's just say you're out driving and your car, like the check engine light comes on, like something major, the check engine light comes on. The pain signals in the body are like that. Now, if you're driving around in your car, you would never take a piece of electrical tape and just put it over the check engine light. Like that is ridiculous behavior. You know, every single person that will ever listen to this going forward from now and going forward would be like, I would never do that. I would know in the back of my head, I got to figure out what this is all about, get it in, get it serviced. Pain is that. Pain is our check engine light that says, pay attention. So let's go ahead and just take that option off the table by burning the sensation, the ability to sense in that nerve, burn it off, not just for today, forevermore.
And then for her, so then what happens? So you burn that first pathway.
Yeah.
And your body is very intelligent, as
Yeah.
we have been teaching you. So guess what it did? It grows nerves around it. It grows these ancillary nerves.
Yeah.
It does that with blood vessels. It'll do that with your nerves. So it still figures out a way to make it. Now they're growing back, but they're still not as it's not the original nerve.
Right.
So it had to create this like ancillary thing to give you another alarm signal. That's like, you know, again, we said before, it's the smoke is building and you're like, I'm going to wait till I see fire. And then when I see fire, I'm going to walk out of the building and go, oh, there's no more fire anymore.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And then I'm going to watch the building burn down.
Well, and then I'm going to just go do something excessive because I can't feel that pain anymore and do more damage.
Yes.
You know, it's really great. This is the next greatest question on here. So what caused her pain? So it's hard to say what caused her pain unless she was to get in for an assessment, which is exactly what Dr. Paula was doing. However, in saying that, what causes pain in general is that the body has an assault of some sort or repetitive motion or life in general or what have you. But we start to get a fixation, which fixation is just like things start to get sticky. So they're starting to stick. They're not moving very well. And then what happens is inflammation and truly what's called substance P for pain. It really is. It probably has a longer name somewhere, but substance P is then saying to the body, it's the chemistry involved in there and the change in tissue that says substance P, move on in, move on in. We need some signals going here. We need some signals. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. And the brain communicates with the body, but the body constantly is checking back in with the brain. We have a lot of messages. We think about the messages going from the headquarters down, but even more important is coming from down back to the headquarters. So the body is saying, let's put this chemistry here. Let's get this chemistry going. Substance P, substance P, substance P. Block it. Or go back to the original fixation and start to unfix it. That is really where we're working. We're working at like, let's get the motion back in here. Proprioception is how the body's moving. It actually blocks the nociception, which is the pain receptors, the substance P receptors. So if we can get, but it's really hard to say what has caused her pain, except for that all we know is substance P is in the area and substance P is like, hello, hello, hello. We can't ignore that.
Well, and that's such a great point because we try to ignore it for so long. Mm-hmm. And I was actually explaining this to somebody else the other day. So if we think about also where did her pain come from? And that's when I said to her, you have a problem in your neck just by the way it's shaped. And she's like, I don't have pain there. So we really want to impress upon you that your problems are far further upstream than the pain, because only 10% of those nerves cause pain. Right. And the way I was describing it, and this is such a profound experiment way back when I was taking chemistry, and it was I remembered it because it was so incredible. It was probably the one and only experiment that I remember of all the chemistry classes I took because it was really cool. And so we had this, I don't remember what the clear liquid was, but then we had this purple, it's called potassium permanganate, and it's purple. And we had to take a dropper and we had to count how many drops went into the water. Now, 1 drop, 2 drop, and it might have even been water. And it stayed clear. And the experiment was count, keep counting, 1 drop at a time, drop, drop, stayed clear. So this is how your body works. Things are building and building and building under the surface. Mm-hmm. And then guess what, you guys? When you get to, and I'll just say 127, that 1 drop, bing, and the whole thing turns purple. That's where the pain finally triggers. The body's been struggling for a long, long time, attempting to manage and attempting to the innate's trying to heal itself. And then boom, it just takes that 1 drop. That's the whole I bent over to put my socks on and my back went out.
Right. I just picked up a pencil. I just turned over sleeping. Like it's that. And Mac says, titration. And that's exactly what Dr. Paula is talking about, that whole concept of titration, where here's the thing. We would say not we, but just in general, humans would say, I'm good. 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 Until you're not good. And then it's like, holy emergency, like, let's take care of this. So what Dr. Paula and I really love to work with are the people that are realizing that titration process is constantly happening. Constantly. Patients come in and, we can talk about Kenny's no stress life. But people will
how many drops do you think Kenny's at right now?
It's hard to know, right? We are all at the drop. We're all dropping in there. We just are. And patients will say, I don't have any stress. And I'm like, first of all, we all do. There's a certain amount of stress gets us up in the morning, which is the good stress. It gets us up, gets us going, gets us inspired. But then also it's like, then we're bombarded with the world and with the stress out on the roads and with some old injuries that we have. And then with a repetitive motion, or more than anything, the repetitive motion that we see today is sitting. Like that is a repetitive motion, repetitive posture. So anyway, how many drops are you at, Kenny? In your titration of stress process. So it's constantly there. So we love working with the people that realize that titration process is constantly there. And if we can control, alt, delete, like your computer starts going and it's got all these windows open, and it finally is just like the blue spinning circle of death, right? And then I'm trying to get out of my spirit ways. My gosh, this is so ridiculous. I gotta figure this out.
The drops are, Kenny, pay attention. The drops are the stress building.
Yeah.
Okay. So your life is the clear glass of water, and everything. It's waking up in the morning. There's stress from gravity. Okay. So that's stress. Like, there's stress from electromagnetic fields. There's stressors you can't see. So all of that is a drop. Miracle Whip would be a drop. So
miracle. Yeah. Let's be honest. That's a drop. That might actually be a dollop. Oh my gosh.
A dollop, yeah. Yeah. So that's the intention, is to really help you to start to recognize, like, do you have these behaviors that are preventing you from living your fullest life? Right. Are you making excuses for things that you have going on in your life that you're like, I'm fine. Is it even just poor posture? And you find yourself saying, I need to stretch more. I really should drink more water. Whatever it is, like, take the simplest of things and just start moving that needle forward. And that, of course, is where chiropractic comes in, is that we can maximize that. And I certainly could talk about my experience with this new therapy in town that is claiming to cure neck and back pain. And I promise you, based on the common sense and things I'm treading very lightly.
Yes. Nope, I get it.
But based on the information that they are putting out there, to the public, personally, I think it's dangerous. And so what we are doing is we are correcting fixations and allowing the body to function better. They're operating on a false premise and not correcting fixations and isolating things that we don't live in a bubble. So our lives are dynamic, our bodies are dynamic, our movement is dynamic. So you can't isolate movement and then say, hey, it's all over now, go.
Right.
You know, it's you can't do that.
Right.
So yeah.
I was just thinking, and I've been really shifting a lot over in my practice to not give out specific stretches. You had just talked about stretches, like patients ask us, what's the perfect pillow? What's the perfect bed? What's the perfect stretches to do for blah, blah, blah. And I can just tell you, like, mostly how I've been answering that is dance, like just dance it out, shake it out, turn on some music. And we really need mobility over anything else. And then the chiropractic comes in and helps working intersegmentally, like individually. But more than anything, like our body sitting static doesn't like then for you to turn your head and hold and do this static hold. Here I become this is like ghastly.
Have you ever seen a ghost stretch?
This is what it looks like. Woo! We have to solve this for sure. Anyway, so I just tell them, like, the more mobility that you can get, really, the better off we are. We're supposed to be dynamic. We're supposed to be moving. We're supposed to be moving intersegmentally on all 6 directions. I mean, we're supposed to turn and sideways and up and down. So anyway, yeah, I've said that on repeat this morning too. They're like, what's the perfect pillow? What's the perfect this? Movement is the perfect anything.
And I will say, listen, because I'll say publicly, I always make fun of you when you say I just slept wrong, because there's so many things. However, I will say that I have slept on pillows that I know like it causes achiness in the middle of the night. Like the whole pillow thing, it maddens me that no one can find a good pillow, including myself. So,
right.
But it's not the full cause. Let's just establish that, right? So yeah.
Yep, for sure. So I wanted to kind of circle back, and is there anything like over the last couple of days that we work as life as the triunity, like what does it mean when intelligence, force, and matter, like as I'm thinking about it, like just intelligence and matter is still a stagnant, kind of a stagnant existence. And the force is a huge part of that. So I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to figure out, backing up to the principle number 4 here. What do you think?
Well, I think I hear that as life force. So, life force is, I feel like, so if we go back to the story that you told last week of being with your patient who passed away, and you said, boy, she just zipped out of the room, and you said it was like a vortex and the room spun. Like that's still life force, even though it was in spirit form. And so if we imagine that those kinds of forces it's what animates us. It's what allows us to live fully as humans. So I think it's like the matter, us as humans, and then that life force which animates us. And then what was the third thing?
Intelligence, force, and matter. I mean, the intelligence is the intelligence of how things were put together. So
the fact that we're perfect, right? 2 eyes, and nose, and mouth. The fact that two cells came together and formed a perfect human. So there's the intelligence of it, and then I think it's just the life force that animates us as beings. And that's how I think that's how I would break that down.
Yeah. The other part is forces out in our world that act upon us too, which sometimes they're so big. For instance, like a car accident is an outside force that then our body has to figure out how to work with that in general through the intelligent response through the matter. So, and really, as we're doing the adjustment, we're again then putting a force into there. And one of the things that people are like, okay, so it got out this way and then it goes back in this way, or like, how does the body? And it's not really that. It's an outside something or other, life in general, that comes into the body that the body is unable to fully integrate in there, and that the adjustment comes in and helps with that. So yeah, it's fun because like today this woman was in earlier and she said, so this is her fourth visit. I think this is the fourth time I've seen her. I met her at that open house that we had here at the office a couple of weeks ago. And she, like, after her first visit and then her second visit she was in, and she said, I have this like right hip thing going on, and is that going to get better? And I'm like, yeah. And we really need time for this to happen. And then today she's like, you know what? I went through my day yesterday and all of a sudden I was realizing like, I didn't have to check in with my body and say, how do I feel? Like I just automatically am starting to feel good. And then that ripples out into, her ability to be a therapist, her ability to work with her kids. And I was like, yeah, it's always kind of retrospectively, but I don't have a button that pushes on, off this particular situation you have going on. All I'm doing is regulating, help your body. I'm clearing, aligning, and then helping your body to actually regulate. So yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. And I love that word, regulating. That's exactly what it is. It's how much better can we get the body to regulate, and again, the conversations that we have constantly on a daily basis, and how many times a day do I use the analogy of, if your front end was out of alignment, you wouldn't continue to drive down the road going, and something's going to be grinding and your wheel's going to be shaking, and you're like, I'm fine. It's fine. It's fine. You're not going to do that. So, when you have something that's out of alignment, and so whether it's the alignment of there is excessive stress in your life, you've got a little limp, or you've got knee pain, or you had knee pain and you've been in a boot, or a lot of times people will have an issue with a foot or an ankle, plantar fasciitis, and because of the way it forces you to walk, then actually several months later they'll come in with back pain and not even connect it to the fact that they've been hobbling and doing this. And your body is not designed to move back and forth like this when you walk. It's designed to actually rotate and flex and bend. And so they will disconnect, again, disconnecting to the patterns and the situations that have these outside forces that have gone into the body, causing these inside forces to now be completely altered. So I had a baby that I take care of. He's 4, 3.5, 4. I think he just turned 4. He was taking karate. I've been taking care of him for a couple years now. He was taking karate, and he hurt his neck. So his mom, he was in for his regular, he comes like once a month. And I said, oh gosh, when did this happen? She said, oh, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, shortly after his last adjustment. And I said, well, gosh, you should have brought him right back in. She said, well, we took him to his pediatrician. And I was like, what? And this also, I have to, when that happens, I have to be like, am I not educating properly? Am I not, like, what about that got missed? And I say it all the time, listen, anytime your kid try following them around all day long, and how many times they fall on their bum or they fall and hit their head. Like, kids are constantly falling. If we as adults followed them around, we'd be like in a freaking body cast.
So true.
It's so important for kids to be under chiropractic care. So yeah, so this actually is helping me. But that just happened like last week.
You know what? And let's just talk about that for a second, because We have worked really hard individually, of course, to become people's first thought, right? First line of defense. It really should be chiropractic first, because we're not doing anything to the body to alter the chemistry or hide anything. Like, we're just turning the body on more. But we really have to look into the media and what they've done in order to get that particular mom, that particular kid has been under care for a long period of time. That particular kid had a neck situation from an injury, but then it really is because we've been so ingrained in the medical model, and it continues to show up all the time. That's like, I don't think it's anything that you didn't do. However, I know that it drives you to push this message out even more, even stronger, even further, which is what really the whole purpose of us being here, so that you can be like, oh, remember we were listening to Chiropractic is Sexy, and those two doctors that come to us every week, they said this, and then in that moment where they're thinking, I wonder where I should go, because it's just a parent trying to take the best care of that kid. And they have been listening. It's just not quite front and center for their life yet. But that's like a cultural thing. And it takes, a while to get people to really think differently. So thank you always for being here, and everyone listening, because that's really why we're here. So.
Well, thank you for that. And I think that's a really critical piece for us to always remember, is that we have to somehow, which is why we started this, we have to be able to just be so consistent about our messaging. And we're never going to be able to compete with the hundreds, thousands of drug commercials you see on a daily basis on television, or that scoot across your screen on social media. And so we just have to be as consistent as possible, and we hope that enough people out there are going to be listening and connecting to the message. And if it gets you guys to think twice about something, or like you said, it's like, what they said, I never thought about it that way. So we're really hoping to bring this unique perspective so that you can do something different, do something a little bit better, not go have your nerves burned off. Like, that doesn't even.
No. And, one of the things is that, like, the medical profession, some of that stuff. So in that particular situation, she had an incredible amount of neck pain back in the day, right? So this medical doctor, whoever it was, should have recommended chiropractic care first, right? Chiropractic care, maybe some physical therapy, get into the gym, get moving, and all of that. And then after a series of care, or multiple months of care for this patient, potentially, like multiple adjustments, like getting the body realigned, getting it going. Then if this patient is like quality of life at that point, so I would say that burning the nerves, I don't know, when I'm talking about this now, is burning the nerves better than actually getting surgery? Like, burning the nerves would maybe be a step before going under the knife for actual spinal surgery. But then I'm also like, I don't know. I would almost rather have, I know, I'd like to hear your answer on this, because I'm almost like, we still need those pain signal messages to always be with us for the next 60 years of my life. I want them there. I mean, hopefully I live 60 more years. I'll be pretty old at that point. But I was just throw out 60 because I don't want to say 50. But anyway, I just wonder. I'm like, I probably personally, because I know what I know, would have sought out chiropractic care, acupuncture, dry needling, physical therapy, traction, decompression, regular massage therapy, making sure I'm super hydrated, anti-inflammatory diet, blah, 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 surgery first, and then nerve burning, as now that I think about it, because surgery would have been a better option and still kept your nerves intact, because it's not like one nerve was cauterized. It was like multiple nerves, or one maybe nerve root, but freak, that nerve root, guess where else it goes? Every effing where it needs to go. So I'm
And in the
thinking now,
pelvis, this is lower back pain,
yeah,
reproductive organs,
all of
bladder,
it.
bowel. Oh my gosh.
So many things.
Yeah.
So that now, thank you. I'm so glad you shared that story, because I personally, with what I know, I probably would have pursued surgery rather than blocking the nerve. Nerve blocks are important for surgery time, but nerve blocks are like, let's block this sucker so that this patient can, get out and get back out into the world. Not normally, but just like get off the table and then go try to do the rehab. So yeah, I don't know. How would you answer that for yourself?
I actually never thought about it like that, but I think you're right and I think it would depend on the surgery. Like if they're like, oh, we want to go in and put a cage and screws and things
Yeah.
like that, I would probably opt for the I wouldn't get that. Anyway, we're just speculating.
Yeah.
But if it was like, oh, we're going to do a discectomy, we're just going to take some of the disc out, or a laminectomy where they remove the bone from the back side of the spine so that the disc isn't pushing on it anymore, which if you just put it into alignment, the disc will reset itself. So,
Let's just say it was excessive though, like excessive. Like there
Yeah.
wasn't there, like we've already done all these 17 different things. Those two at the end is kind of where I was like, would I get surgery or what, it's really hard to say,
Yeah.
but just hypothetically, I'd rather have those nerves on board.
I think you're right, for sure. And also, I will say that this person is overweight, so not a great diet, lots of stress in their life, does not sleep well, does not exercise. So when we're talking about healing, you got to look in the mirror and you have to say, what am I willing to do in order to be the best me possible? And that is movement, and it's proper rest, and it's proper hydration, and it's good strength in your body, good flexibility. And this person doesn't have any of that. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that if the body's out of alignment, it's going to continue to be out of alignment, it's going to continue to stress those fixations and put more stress on the nerves and create, wreak havoc. Mm-hmm. So I think to you, if you're doing all the things, my patient with stenosis, he's been a patient for 18 years. And so to your point, I have him doing exercises. He's getting adjusted regularly. I sent him for ozone injections in his spine. I sent him for decompression. I've sent him for acupuncture, but he needs to lose about 60 pounds. And he says, well, you got to talk to my wife about that. And she's the one that does the cooking. And I'm like, you have to put your foot down, because I know she's not healthy either. So this also becomes that whole no, this isn't anybody else's responsibility but yourself. Mm-hmm. And he's keeping it together. He does not want to have surgery by any means. And I certainly don't think he wants to have his nerves burned. Mm-hmm. So I told him the next thing I'm putting him on a diet. And he said, okay. So,
willing.
It's
a way better option.
Yes.
Once you cut, you can't uncut. Once you burn, you can't unburn.
Right. You can't unburn. Right.
And nerves are one of the slowest tissues in the body to heal. So it's not like, oh, just burn off this part. No.
Yeah. Just cut off your arm. Wait, you have wrist pain? Just you don't need that. What?
Yeah.
I do see we're up on time, and I do want to make our announcement about what we have going next week. Not necessarily live, but we are going to be interviewing two incredible people that we're going to be bringing to you. We're going to be doing the interviews next week, but we're not sure exactly when we're going to release them. So we just want you guys to know that Eric and I got together last week, and we started to put some plans together, some more structure about bringing you some really incredible people. We're still going to keep this. We're not going to allow this to be interrupted. We're going to be bringing on some really incredible people who inspire us, who we hope are going to inspire you. And so super excited about that.
We have even just over the last week, and then every week it's like someone reaches out like, hey, what are you two doing? hey, what are you two doing? I'm like, we are doing some things, and we're really connected with some really awesome people. So always watch for this Thursday at 1. We'll always be here. And then watch for us to be published, hopefully up on the podcast platforms soon. I don't even know what that soon means, but it's going to be, I want to say, within a month, I want to say something like that. And I'm really hoping. And also, like, we have very busy practices, as everybody's so busy, right? But we want to just make sure that once we get rolling, that we just stay with you guys, because we're having a ton of fun. So thank you so much for being here. The triune of life. Life is the triunity, having 3 necessary united factors: intelligence, force, and matter. And just take that out into your world, knowing that, like, we're truly 3 parts. We're the motion. We're also the intelligence that guides that. And then we're the actual, get this amazing, incredible vehicle to be out in the world in. So we just have so much respect for our bodies moving around, and just take a moment to have gratitude to yours as well.
Oh, that's a great point. So yeah, great point. Thank you so much. Yes, Grammy Karen, we love being here, and we appreciate you all being here as well. We appreciate your engagement, because if you didn't engage, we'd be sitting here by ourselves and having all this fun without you.
Without you. I feel like such bad FOMO for you guys. Holy cow, we would feel bad for you.
Right? All right, you guys have an incredible rest of your day. We love you so much. Mwah.
Love
I'll
you.
see you Sunday for Sunday Night Live, and next week for Chiropractic is Sexy. See ya.